Welcome, I'm Jon Caldara, president of the Independence Institute and your devil's advocate. She's in town, so I needed to have her over. And Coulter, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, anytime, Jon Caldara.
All right, so you gave a speech at CU.
Yes.
Now, years ago, I went to one of your speeches at CU, and
you claim something about it that you're misrecollecting.
I
You've been
remember
saying this all day yesterday, and I didn't
was
bother
there.
correcting it, but now that you're starting it, yes, there was heckling. I gave my speech.
Yes,
I
there
did
was heckling.
question and answer.
Right, but there was, throughout the whole thing, they were trying to talk over you, they were trying to shout over you.
Yeah,
This
I
was
don't
years ago.
remember that.
That didn't happen this time.
Well, how about Berkeley? It's the first
All right,
American college.
let's talk with Berkeley.
First American college ever where I wasn't allowed to give my speech. My sponsors backed down at the last minute. We were about to win a court case. I was willing to go. But the dorks back in Washington, oh, there could be violence. Screw you, I'm the one walking
So
off
for
campus.
context,
Still talking. Whereas, it was the first time at any American university I was not allowed to speak. It happened once in Canada. But as you know, America's
They have colleges there?
Weirdly, yeah. They definitely have protesters, but there's something about Trump that has just flipped people out more than usual. I mean, it's always been kind of a problem, and I wish the Berkeley police could see what the Boulder police did, because that's how it's done.
All right, so in Berkeley,
you have a show of force, they're
Milo
down.
it's Milo who did the speech, and they set things on fire and knocked over
the campus down, yeah.
And so you're coming a couple weeks later, and they decide at the last minute they can't have you for your own safety. Wasn't that was that the rub?
Not really. No.
I mean,
what a go through it quickly, but I'm going to have to be the one doing the talking here.
All right, go.
They started doing what they always do, very common on college campuses, to prevent a conservative speaker, because if it's not 100% uniform indoctrination for 4 years without one conservative speaker, they're afraid they could lose some of the undergrads. So what they do is they start imposing requirements, and what the sponsor wanted to do, Young Americans Foundation, they really just wanted a press release to say this isn't fair. You want Coulter to speak during class hours. You want her to speak off campus. You're putting all these requirements on her that you don't put on the left-wing speakers, and they just wanted to issue a press release saying this is a violation of the First Amendment. We denounce it. And 6 subscribers to the YAF newsletter would have read it and, oh, this is an outrage. And at every requirement they put on my speech, I like to give college speeches. They're fun. I love the interaction with the audience, including parts of the audience that disagree with me. Sometimes I learn stuff. I think debate is interesting and fun. And I kept saying, no, we're not pulling out. I'll do it. Agree, agree, agree. We were agreeing to everything, and then it was like 2 weeks before, even though I'm agreeing to every ridiculous requirement, all of them, I'll do it. Fine, that's fine.
What requirements did they want? That you do it during daylight hours? What?
It had to be during the day when they're in class. I remember that one. They had to pay for extra security, fine. It couldn't be in a good room for this. It had to be in an unattractive room, and I think it was just off campus. But I forget what else. There were a few other things, and everything had to be. I kept saying yes, 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 yes. I just want to give the speech. It's going to be fun. I promise you, a good time will be had by all. And then out of the blue, Berkeley just says, "Screw it, we're canceling her anyway." I think, and actually probably a lot of your viewers would agree with this. I think to myself, well, Governor Jerry Brown, he's an old lefty. He believes in free speech. Old
lefties believe in free speech. New lefties don't.
Again, Berkeley wanted to, or rather YAF wanted to issue the press release. And I said no. When they first canceled me, I said no, do nothing. I know somebody who used to work with Jerry Brown, if I can just get through to him. So I call him. He says, absolutely, Jerry Brown is going to agree with you. Let me give you his education person, but I just switched iPhones. This actually happened. I switched iPhones. I can't give you her number right now because, of course, Berkeley is a University of California school. Before he gives me her number so that I can get through and say, hey, I'm submitting to all their unreasonable requirements. I think you believe in free speech. Berkeley leaks it to the San Francisco Chronicle. Yay, we've canceled Ann Coulter. Well, now it's too late. There's nothing I can do. So for 2 weeks, I said, I'm coming. They Yaf did hire a lawyer to bring a lawsuit. And look, I don't care what they say about the Muslim ban, as we affectionately call it. There is no court in the nation that isn't going to uphold the right to free speech. There's a lot of law on that. And even a crazy Ninth Circuit judge wouldn't be able to look at his other judges in the eye if he didn't order Berkeley to provide a place for me to speak. It was ready to go, and my sponsor pulled out the part that would require them to provide a room. So I'm saying I'm coming. The night before, I find out YAF has withdrawn its sponsorship. They don't want me to speak there because, again, they, back in their Washington office, are afraid of violence. I keep telling them, I'm the 99-pounder willing to walk onto campus. How can you shut this down? So I'm kind of annoyed about that right now, and I want to get a sponsor. Maybe Independence Institute can sponsor me. Because there is a college of Republicans out there, because at the time, a lot of, not just old liberals, but all the gals on The View, Robert Reich, Obama brought it up on his own. He wasn't asked about what was happening to Ann Coulter at Berkeley. He just brought up on his own, this is outrageous that Berkeley won't let Ann Coulter speak. So all these liberals get credit for being for free speech, but I still haven't spoken there. So I have to speak there. I mean, we've got to redeem, not because it's me, but because to redeem...
Well, and also the beauty that it's the home of the free speech movement. It speaks volumes. CU Boulder invited you, a young conservative group called Turning Point.
God bless them.
And the violence there was just awful. There was gunshots, there were clubbings.
Starbucks windows smashed.
There was firebombing.
Nothing.
It was nothing. It was nothing.
No, it was lovely. It was a great audience, including a lot of liberals, which was fun. I cut the speech down so that we could have an extended question and answer period. I thought a good time was had by all, didn't you? Even the liberals had a good time. But why? Because there was a show of force. That's how you do it. You don't let the little darlings protest.
When you say show of force, you mean the cops were there.
Right.
They were there, lots of them. And if someone was going to start heckling you or doing something,
they would have been removed.
They would have been out.
And then they wouldn't have been able to stay and enjoy the show.
In order to have a contrary opinion on a college campus, you need about 30 law enforcement officers and a freaking tank. You saw the tank, did you not? There was a full assault vehicle out behind the student center, and guys with AR-15s just...
No, it's absolutely crazy. Not to brag, but I love to brag. 12 New York Times bestsellers. Basically, my opinions these days are not that far from Bernie Sanders because Trump's positions aren't that far from Bernie Sanders. And it's like I'm David Duke walking onto campus, helicopter. I'm like P. Diddy going to an after-dinner party.
So congratulations to CU for putting it on. Congratulations to the students there putting it on. When I was there were just as many conservative students. We just refused to acknowledge each other for the worry that we'd be missing in the middle of the night and drug away somewhere. So I mean, good for all of them doing that. Let's switch over to Trump. God, I hate Republicans.
I know.
There was this illusion, at least for a short period of time, that
they cared about our fellow Americans.
That they believed in smaller government as well. So it's been a year and a half or so. Handicap the presidency for me.
Like you, I never realized how much I hated my own party until Trump came along, and he was saying the things that I thought all Republicans agreed with. At one time, I thought both parties agreed with. I mean, the Democrats used to claim to be the champions of the working class. As a Republican, I thought, come on, you're lying. We're the ones who really do. You're just labeling us as the party of the rich. You get all the Wall Street money. But Trump comes along, and Bernie Sanders, and they're championing the working class. We're going to end these job-killing trade deals. We're going to stop dumping low-wage workers on the country. We're not going to keep sending American boys to die in utterly pointless wars. And what does my party say? Paul Ryan, that's not who we are, because he knows us so well. And look at this omnibus bill they just put through. What has Trump done in his first year? Tax cuts. Now, look, there's some things I like about that. I know you guys, you're libertarian, you're right. We need small government. We need lower taxes. But that's not what won Trump the presidency. And he has not done this stuff. I mean, today he finally, sometime in the last few weeks, I don't know when this is going to air, he finally, is pushing through the retaliatory tariffs, which, I mean, he's totally right. Other countries have been ripping us off. This is a way to get the other countries to drop their tariffs on our goods. And the idea that suddenly that they aren't going to do that, it's as if we're playing a ball game. We're in the 8th inning. The other team is beating us 20-0. It starts to rain. Is the other team going to say, okay, let's just make this we'll call this game a rain game? We're just going to call it off. No, they're eating our lunch. They will eat our lunch a little bit less.
Do you have any regrets endorsing him so much that you put his name on a cover of your book?
In Trump we trust, pluribus awesome. No, I regret nothing. I mean, when people taunt me about him not building the wall, getting weepy-eyed over illegal aliens, i.e. dreamers, whom he promised he would deport, okay, he's doing what every other Republican and Democrat other than Sanders promised to do. So, we didn't have a choice. He was the one who was at least allowing us to vote on this series of issues, a new menu. I finally get to choose. I finally can vote off menu. It's not no substitutions. This is the stuff I've been trying to vote on all this time. No, I don't want a war with Russia. I do want a wall. And just, by the way, I slipped that in very quickly, but I think it's worth mentioning. Until Bernie Sanders, had the Democratic Party gang up on him, his position on immigration was Trump's position on immigration for the obvious reason that who gets hurt the most? African Americans, Hispanic Americans, working class Americans. Who does well?
What exactly did he say?
What he said was,
Bernie said.
Bernie said when he was running for president. So I guess he was technically a Democrat, but they hadn't ganged up on him. They hadn't brought him back to the mothership yet and told him, no, it's okay to hate working class people now. We have immigrants voting for us. You can hate the middle of the country. So he was asked by Vox, liberal website. Fox just assumed he was for open borders, and he said, open borders? No, that's a Koch brothers idea. Yeah, rich people love that. They bring in people to work for $2 or $3 an hour. Their wages go down. It crushes the working class. I'm against open borders. They ganged up on him, and suddenly, I guess he just kind of shut up about that or pretended he was for open borders too. But it used to be the entire Democratic Party, and of course, back in the 90s, it wasn't that long ago. Under Clinton, Barbara Jordan, a genuine civil rights icon, produces a huge immigration report saying this is hurting African Americans. Our current immigration policy of dumping low-wage workers on the country, it's hurting African Americans most of all. She was pushing for the end to what we're not allowed to say, chain migration, for the family reunification nonsense, said we should be admitting immigrants as Australia does, as New Zealand does. Look around the country and, we need some neurosurgeons up in North Dakota. We'll let you in if you'll be a neurosurgeon in North Dakota. No, instead, our entire immigration policy, like so many of our policies, are geared to helping Wall Street billionaires, Hollywood billionaires, and their wives who don't want to clean their own toilets. That's what our immigration policy is geared to. It isn't a natural, it isn't happening, this isn't just how it happened. No, specific policies were put into place. We could have just as easily said, they always claim, we want globalism and openness to the world. Okay, I want openness to the world. How about not protecting Hollywood copyrights? We could do that. That's open to the world. Let China steal them. No, we will protect billionaires in Hollywood. We will protect, and obviously these big global deals, who do they help the most? Wall Street bankers, because they get to negotiate the deals.
Talk to me more about Wall Street bankers, because to hear you rip on Wall Street bankers, don't you know there are guys, right?
I wish. No, I don't. I hate them. I wish they would just move en masse to the Democratic Party. No, they give all their money. They are identical to Hollywood. I don't know how we ever got saddled with these people. They vacation in the Hamptons. You
vacation in the Hamptons.
They hang out with actresses. They vote 100%
you hang out with
Democrat.
Actresses.
Yes, but I love the working class. I love my fellow Americans. I don't like...
the Hamptons?
I don't really like the Hamptons. It's not even that good a beach. It's just the closest beach to New York City.
But Wall Street somehow got saddled that this is the Republican Party.
I know! Why don't they blame us for Hollywood?
Because I'm convinced behind every deal there's a bond dealer. I mean, this town is run by bond dealers. The whole infrastructure is run by bond dealers and consultants and contractors. And somehow that's now the Republican deal. the omnibus bill. I mean, I thought we were pissed off at Obama for doing the exact same thing.
It's a disaster. Trump is going to be knocked out, and as long as we're on the trolling the president section of this interview,
there's no interview. You're just going. I'm just sitting here.
One of the big things that Trump campaigned on, I think I praise him for it on like page 2 of In Trump We Trust. He was the first presidential candidate to say we have to end the carried interest loophole for hedge fund managers. And just to explain what that is very quickly, you and I have jobs. Well, I don't really have a job, but whatever. We make money. I write books. That's what I get a check for. You do whatever
Nobody
it is you
knows
do.
what I do. Nobody.
You get a check for it. We pay taxes on what we do for a living. What's left over, some of it goes for our living expenses, and then we invest the other part. Now, the part that is our investment, not what we do for a living, that gets taxed at a lower rate. Frankly, it shouldn't be taxed at all. We've already paid taxes on the money we made, but that's only taxed at a 15% rate. The loophole, which was approved by the IRS, but nobody thought this was supposed to happen, is hedge fund managers who, people, that sort of thing, for a living, they are investing money. Their payment is a percentage of everything they make. Now, if they lose money,
they get to take a loss.
Yes! They only pay 15%. This is what Warren Buffett always gets to go around boasting about. I pay a lower rate than my secretary. Yeah, well, let's fix it. Neither Democrats nor Republicans ever said they would fix it until Trump came along. What got saved in the last tax bill? Thank you, Gary Cohn from Goldman Sachs. The economic advisor to the White House. That's, everybody always wants me to have a TV show. I don't want a TV show. I don't want a job.
You couldn't handle it.
But the one TV show I would really like, it's only one episode. I sit on set. I invite people on who work for the Trump White House. I hook them up to a polygraph machine and I ask them, did you vote for Trump? That's all I want to do, because he's surrounded himself 10 feet deep with people who didn't vote for him. He's very suggestible, that man.
Crystal ball, what happens? What happens this fall? And does Trump make it through his full term?
Well,
because
I hate to say
if the House goes,
he's going to be impeached the next day.
Like that.
Yeah, and if he signs this omnibus bill, I think it's going to be a blowout for the Democrats. There's no reason to vote Republican if this is 100% a Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, pro-Wall Street, anti-working class American omnibus bill. They gave him, like $20 to repaint fences on the border. What was it that was chanted at every rally every single day of his campaign? Was it, keep the carried interest loophole? Was it cut taxes? No. It was build the wall. And he's not doing it, John. And they're extending H-1B visas, H-1B visas, which is just specifically taking the jobs of Americans by paying them less.
Why don't you want dreamers? Nice little kids who know no other language, know no other home. Why do you want them deported? Why do you like kicking them and hurting them and eating
hurting them? No, I mean, what it is, we're mostly the dreamers. It's like Mexican Antifa. What they're particularly good at is protesting. But look, at point one, any amnesty. You could say we are only amnestying nuclear physicists who are left-handed and have red hair and are bringing $1 million into the country. That goes immediately to, well, first, the immigration bureaucracy, and they say, we're waiving those requirements. Then it goes to a Ninth Circuit judge in Hawaii, and they're waiving those requirements. How do I know this? Because this is what happened last time. Reagan had his amnesty in 1986. 20 years later, the Ninth Circuit was still amnestying people en masse, class action lawsuits, and their argument was, it's not fair that we weren't in the country for the last amnesty. And the Ninth Circuit was saying, you got me there. Okay, 20,000 of you, 20 years later. They were still, in 2006, they were still amnestying people. So, point one, any amnesty, bad amnesty. We need to, like any country, we should be able to control our immigration. We take in more refugees than the rest of the world combined. America needs a little me time now. Wages have not only been flat, but have gone down for, roofers, for construction workers, for our fellow Americans. And by the way, immigrants who have come here recently, wages aren't moving. income inequality has gone through the roof in this country, which by itself wouldn't be such a bad thing. I mean, we shouldn't all be equal. You can be equally poor like in the Soviet Union, but it's really getting kind of embarrassing. I mean, when you have these tech guys and Wall Street people living like something from Russia's czar's
you say something
court.
often, which is the welfare, that the problem with immigration is the welfare. And for me, that's the problem with immigration is the welfare. You're convinced that there's no way to change the welfare state.
Correct.
The only way to solve this is through immigration reform.
Correct.
Why?
Well, first of all, I pointed this out to
you nice white girls came from nice. You're a daughter of the revolution. You know, we slimy wops. We had to come huddled on a boat somewhere. I have no idea how they came in, but I guarantee you, there was no welfare when my great-grandfather came by.
Out to you over brunch today. Part of the reason so many of our immigrants and the ones people get weepy over, but I know particularly with Italian immigrants, why they're so great is 30% of them went home. Why? Because they came to America, there was no welfare state, you sank or swam. And if you couldn't make it in this country, there was no, warm bath of government benefits to sink into and bring your families in to accept too. So we ended up looking out across the world and getting the best of the entire world, people who really were the best. I'd love to go back to that system, but as I told you over brunch, I'll repeal the law of gravity before you get rid of welfare.
So the only way to do this is through immigration reform.
Yes.
The wall.
The wall, and I think, as I recommend in Adios America, we need a moratorium on all immigration for a while. We need to assimilate the ones already here. We need to dust off the books. We need to see what's going on. I mean, all these refugee cases, they all turn out to be scams. The family reunification where we're taking the Tsarnaev brothers. Just because you're related to somebody who came here last year? I mean, as I said, it's like the Patriots saying, our new quarterback is 99 pounds, nearsighted, blind in one eye, but he's Brady's nephew. What could we do?
What could we do?
Had to take him. That's our immigration system. Oh, we should be looking out across the world. We're the greatest country in the world and taking the best of the best, people who are better than us.
Can we do a few pros on Trump, things that I never thought would happen?
Yes, there are a lot of pros.
One is Gorsuch. I mean...
I'm not giving you that.
Why not?
In fact, this leaked, or I wouldn't tell you, but the last time I saw the Emperor God ended in a screaming and cursing match in the Oval Office with the president. When he was trying to claim credit for Gorsuch, I said, yeah, Jeb or Rubio would have given us that. Tell me one thing you've done that any Republican wouldn't have done. No, you don't get tax cuts, although I'm sorry, Colorado, but I do love the end of the state and local tax deduction, largely because it will put pressure on those states. You can't brush it under the rug.
Anything that's bad for California, I'm okay for. All right, then
I will give him is Anwar, Keystone.
Paris.
Paris Accords.
I'm convinced not one of the 300 guys that were running for president on our team would have yanked us out of the Paris Accords.
Yes, I think that's probably right.
And here's my theory on this, which is because he's a reality TV star, he just does opposite of what everybody else is doing. And so he saw 300 countries going this way, he goes that way. If they were doing this,
it's pretty well thought out. I mean, he did campaign against the global warming nonsense. The trade deals, the yelling at CEOs to bring their businesses back. I mean, Paul Ryan was going to sign Trans-Pacific Partnership, as was Hillary. Who were the two people who were against it? Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump. So, he kept his word on that. He's renegotiating NAFTA, taking a while on that. I think I would have put that ahead of the tax cuts. And I think the most important thing he's done, and this sounds silly and maybe mean-spirited, but of course I am mean-spirited. His attacks on the press, his tweeting, his absolute not caring about political correctness is very important.
Why is it very important?
The press has got to be destroyed.
They're going apoplectic on every tweet, and I got to tell you, it might be the best thing about this.
Yes.
I mean, these are obnoxious, ridiculous, unpresidential crap.
And I don't care. I love it.
These are juvenile.
Yes.
This is junior high school, awful, mean crap, and I love it.
Yes.
Because NPR hates it so much. And And I've never seen, you know what a magician does, he's doing this with this hand to get your attention, he's doing this. That's all this is.
Well, I wish I were doing a little more with that hand, because mostly he seems to really enjoy taunting the media, which is hilariously funny. Every time I see him talking, I think to myself, I hope he brags about his inauguration size, because that'll set him off for a week.
All right, a couple minutes left. What do you want to happen between now and Election Day this fall? Because I think it has the potential to be bad. And I could be wrong. I didn't even think Trump would. You were the one who thought Trump was going to win. I didn't think Trump was going to win.
But he's not doing the stuff that made me think he was going to win. And that's how he wins. I mean, he knows how it's done because he just did it. Not only has no Republican learned how to do it, Trump seems to have forgotten. It's vanished from his head. How did I win? This Pennsylvania 18th election, for those of you who watch MSNBC as I do religiously, and CNN, that was really big because, it's a special election. The Democrat won. The Democrat did not run. They say he ran as a Trumpian on everything except on immigration. He was wide open on that. He ran against tax cuts. He ran for Obamacare. In other words, he ran against Paul Ryan, and he won in a district that Trump had won by like 20 points. All the Republican had to do was attack him on immigration, but he wouldn't do it. They can't learn. They can't learn.
That's it.
And I don't think Trump can learn. He needs to deport. He should veto the omnibus bill. He should say, screw it, you're getting nothing from me until, and by the way, he doesn't need funding for the wall. He's the commander-in-chief. The Constitution puts him in charge of our national borders. No, he can do it. He could go 5 feet in and declare war on Mexico that first 5 yards. He could build it there. If he wants to build the wall, he can build the wall. But it is outrageous that this Congress did not fully fund it. They are defunding efforts to go after sanctuary cities. They are insisting on all of these low-wage workers coming in, H-1B, H-1-2. That's going to kill them.
It has been so enjoyable sitting here, not talking and letting you roll and roll. We'll see you next week. Tell a friend.
They can hear you anytime.